Hi, sitting here at the end of 2012, looking forward to 2013, and I just thought I haven't done a little bit of video for a while, so why not? Just, wanted to do a little bit of a review of where I've come from and where I'm going to. It's certainly been an interesting last 12, if not 15 months. This time last year, literally, just after Christmas, I was sitting in Sussex and pensively thinking about moving, heading back up to Norfolk, which is where I am now. And a lot's happened in pretty much just slightly less than a year. Starting with the move, January the 7th last year, coming back to Norfolk and all the palaver that comes from boxes and moving house and all that sort of thing. And starting this new venture, which was three-tiered, but primarily, to do with what I'm doing now, which is internet publication and learning to drive the internet, as I've termed it. And those first 4 months into 2012 were anything but sure, really, in that we were living off our savings and not making any money whatsoever. And had a few, by about April though, things started to round up, and I was then blogging. The BizNetworkGuy blog formed in about the middle of March. And I think one thing I'd always suspected was going to come into my year this year was the Olympic Games, and it did manifest itself in around May. And heading back to my old industry, which was event and infrastructure supply for events, I suppose if there was going to be a year of years, this was it. 2012 in terms of all that was going on. So thanks to ES Global, I managed to work for 10 weeks in the summer and earn enough money to continue to get by for a little while after that, which was lovely to do. And around that time, probably due to the Ed Dale connections and the internet learning curve I'd taken, I was really having quite a close look at Magcasts, which is a method of publishing magazines online, primarily for the iPad and pretty much through iTunes. And I managed, because I earned a little bit of money, to do a bit of investment in that and picked up an iOS developer license, which all sounds very grand, and a license to publish these magazines online. And it's there now, it's up and running. I'll tell you a little bit about that a little later on. And I started learning about Megcast and going through the course and working with my mentor, this guy called Dom Goucher. We looked at lots of routes to do that, whether I could do an extension to the blog, BizNetworkGuy, or whether I'd seek out other people. And one of the organisations we looked at was for networking, 4M. Couldn't persuade those guys to go forward. But in time, we did have some conversation after a bit of a blank meeting with them, with my good chum in Saudi Arabia, a guy called Joe Otiek. And consequently, we have now published a magazine, which is called the Saudi Falcons magazine, which is a real pride to be able to do that. I felt very, very proud when it actually came to publication. And that looks like it's ongoing now. It's been very well received. We've got issue 2 is coming out on the 7th of January, which is just before the due by 24 hours. And we'll continue that on through 2013, following the fortunes of the Saudi Falcons GT3 motorsport team. So you'll see a little bit more of that, and I'll put some links in so you can have a look. Pretty much at the same time I started looking at magazine publication, I also got a bit of a steer on the Kindle platform, which is creation of ebooks for Amazon, and for their platform that you can sell and publish and self-publish, which is something that a year or two ago, a bit like the magazines, would have been pretty much impossible for an individual to do. So I have published a few books, 2 for a guy called Jeff Little, Brigadier Jeff Little, a series of books entitled These Are My Credentials. And that's going to be an episodic set of serial stories, which I'm terming pretty much as military tales of the unexpected, because they're pretty good fun, rollicking, fast-paced short stories that tell some tales which might have a little bit of an unexpected ending, so they're quite good fun. And then I came around to the thinking, well, look, if I'm doing that, why the heck can't I actually publish something for myself? And when thinking about the subject matter, I started thinking about, well, what have I done in the last 4 or 5 years, and how have I come to go from one place to another? And I thought that might make a relatively interesting read. and consequently 24,500 words later, the book is published, and the title of that is "Would Your Boss Punch You in the Face and Then Laugh When You Bleed?" And anybody who's seen the blog will be possibly a little bit bored of it now, because it's only, well, look, it's come out, and I'm promoting it and talking to people about it. And that's the stage we're at now, which is, now I've got these things published, and they're out on there on the big interweb and Ethernet, or whatever you want to call it. How do we get that in front of as many people as we physically and possibly can? And the answer to that comes in a number of ways. I've been working with Jen Sheehan on Facebook advertising, and then I'm doing a lot of development on my capacities to promote and make people aware via social media. Twitter's an interesting thing. It's been a bit of an oddity to me, and probably one of the less easier things to understand. But I'm now sort of starting to get into that and push some things around in that way. I went out to Los Angeles actually as a result of this, and did 3 days out there, learning a lot more about the system solutions and methods of promotion and how you go about that. It was an interesting ride. I'm not sure I can recommend travelling something like 11 and a half, 12 hours to stay there for 3 days in the wrong time zone and then come back again. It's a little bit of a oddity in your life to get used to that. In fact, you just can't get used to the change of time zones in that amount of time. But anyway, it did help me, and Would Your Boss came about. I pursued an editor, a guy called Tim Smith, who's done some good work for me in editing it, and as I say, it's up there now and it's sitting on Amazon, so that's the way we want to go. So looking ahead into next year, what I want to do is to continue the promotion of the books we've got, but also equally to look at, maybe other people out there. I don't know, maybe Jeff sort of came out. He's a friend of mine. He's always had an interest in writing, and I have the ability to publish. So we came to a fairly simple arrangement, and it's not that difficult to do. I can do this. So there is a little request here. If you have an interest in writing books, I want to have 20 published by September. So that's my goal for this year, to get another, as it stands, 17 books out. Now Jeff's going to write about 6. I'm probably going to write about 2. Well, one solid one, and then an episodic. And that's interesting because that comes from policey days, from a while ago, when I was in the Metropolitan Police since when was it? 1983 through to 89, and I did some interesting things. It was an interesting era to be in the police force. And then when I went through some changes in sort of, I guess, 92, 93, having travelled around the world, I ended up back at my mum and dad's house, and sitting there with not a lot to do at the time. So I started writing, and I took some incidents that happened during my time, fictionalised them a bit, amalgamated a few things together, and as you did in those days, typed it out, printed it out, and then left it and did nothing with it for many, many years. And my wife, actually, Agnes, found those papers a little while ago, and I read through them, and they sounded quite good. It actually read quite well, quite an interesting and ripping yarn again. So I'm out there now. They were all on paper. I've audio recorded them, sent them off to Casting Words in Los Angeles, and they're now coming back, so hopefully shortly, as written transcription, which I can then edit, format, and publish. So, these things are to come. There are other developments to do. So, really excited about 2013. Really pleased with how 2012 has gone, and looking forward to it. I just want to say, I hope really that you've had a fantastic and peaceful holiday, and that you have a fantastic, exciting, and prosperous 2013. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.